Welcome to Conversations Different, the podcast from the Santa Fe New Mexican about interesting people, places, and issues of northern New Mexico. This week, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're talking to Krystle Lucero, president of the Santa Fe Fiesta Council, about Santa Fe's favorite event, the Fiesta de Santa Fe. Welcome, Krystle.
Hi there. How are you?
Good, good. I hope you're having a great day. We're a few weeks out from Fiesta proper. But as you obviously know, Fiesta is a lot bigger than one weekend or 2 weekends in September. So why don't you just tell people what it is from the beginning?
Well, of course, we are the oldest community commemoration of a European kind in the United States. This year, we are commemorating 313 years of the annual Fiesta de Santa Fe. So, of course, it incorporates, the tradition, of course, is mass sermon, vespers, and procession based on the proclamation established in 1712. But our events include, music and parades and mariachi extravaganza and arts and crafts fairs and what have you. And 90% of our events are free to the public. We want to make it accessible to all. However, of course, like our mariachi extravaganza that we are currently promoting, as well as our gran baile and participation of vendors in arts and crafts, help us pretty much fundraise so that we are able to have the annual fiesta and keep it that 90% free.
That makes sense because not everything, you guys aren't given money by someone to put it on. You kind of self-support.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. We are lucky that we have written grants and we've secured grants through New Mexico Arts. We have secured grants through the county in the past. And then also local businesses have been willing to have sponsorships and help us with hosting our annual fiesta. This year, our titanium sponsor, Krystle St. Vincent, in celebrating 160 years of being within our community. And then, of course, we also have the Santa Fe County, and then Garcia Tires, State Employees Credit Union, and so on. We have multiple vendors that help us make sure that this tradition continues.
Wow. And so Christus is half as old, or St. Vincent's as it was in the beginning, is half as old as Fiesta about.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's good to have them leading the charge as one of our top tier sponsors.
Yeah. So let's go back to 1712. What happened then that led to the proclamation, which I believe requires, as you said, vespers, processions, masses, and I think even a little frivolity. So what happened back then?
So basically, in 1712, that is when Juan Paez Hurtado, who was the alferez to Don Diego de Vargas, when they came back in 1692, of course, their mission was to come and re-enter Santa Fe, and with the promise that if they're able to do it, and it is essentially peaceful, that they would be able to, he would want to honor the Blessed Mother, of course, Our Lady, with mass, sermon, procession, and vespers through the plaza. So then, following de Vargas's death in 1704, 1712, that is when Juan Paez Hurtado went to the Santa Fe Council at the time and established this proclamation, and therefore Fiesta began from there on. So that's
Okay.
why we commemorate the 313 years of our annual event.
Right. So, and if you're coming back in 1692, that means you had to leave. So let's talk about what happened in 1680 and why the Spanish settlers did go, and it wasn't a very peaceful exit.
Right. Of course, that was 1680 was the Pueblo Revolt, and there were the two Native Americans, Katua, and I never can pronounce the other name correctly, so I don't want to butcher it. But yes,
It's over at the convention center. You can see their statues.
yes, yes, exactly. And they were feeling how they felt about what was going on at the time, and they wanted to warn their people, and of course had every right to do so. And so there was the Pueblo Revolt, and the Spaniards, along with relatives that had already been established, because granted, Santa Fe was founded in what, 1610. And
Right.
so there had been generations of families, both Spaniard and native, which creates the unique New Mexico culture that we have, that fled down to Mexico, which included fleeing with our oldest Marian statue, which we have housed at the cathedral.
Right.
As most
And
people
that
know,
story, that's a great story because she was in a burning church and the
yes,
sacristana ran into the flames to grab. She was originally, I think, Our Lady of the Annunciation. Is that right? Or something?
Asuncion, yeah,
Yep.
Annunciation, yeah, exactly. I mean, she has many, many titles. There's
Right.
so many names for her.
Yep.
But yes, Doña Josefa Lopez Sombrana de Grijalva, who was a sacristana at the time, rescued her from the burning church and fled along with the families
Right.
to Mexico. But they did take Our Lady with her. So it's really a unique history and perspective to know that we actually house the statue that was part of that history, and the fact that it survived all of that and is still standing to today.
Right,
Um,
and she's older than even our history because
exactly.
what they've done carbon dating or testing of the wood, and she goes back, they think, to the, like, 15th century, something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe the understanding is, I mean, we say from 1625, so over 600 years old, but then they say that they believe there's, I think, 200 to 400 years prior. So I mean,
right,
it's just amazing the fact that she's been around all these years, and there has been restoration and what have you to keep her looking good, like every lady should, you
mm,
know. But yeah, it's just really truly unique to Santa Fe to have something so um, important, and so many are so devoted to our Blessed Mother,
right.
like Don Diego de Vargas and the people that when they returned, they wanted to honor her in order to promise that, if it's a peaceful resettlement, then, we would be able to carry on with this mission to honor her.
Right, and when you look at the history, obviously it wasn't always peaceful, and
No.
that's part of, I think, probably the hard conversations that we've had in recent years about Fiesta, relations between Spanish settlers, Indians, Native people here. It wasn't peaceful, but I think you could argue that over the years, the 2 cultures formed their own agreement, and they,
Mhm.
if are not peaceful, they at least know how to get along in a way that is kind of unique to New Mexico.
Definitely. I mean, like I said earlier, there was generations of family that had already been established by the time the Pueblo Revolt occurred. So, you had Native American and Spaniards living together. But I do agree with that. There are hard conversations. There are feelings that we definitely hear and we understand and want to respect. Ultimately, that's always been my goal, is that there are those hard conversations that exist in working in my personal life, with working with musicians and what have you. I mean, I have a lot of individuals that are Native American that I have that respect, and that understanding that people may not see the view the same exact way, but we got to respect both point of views, because that's the only way that we continue to live in unity in our community.
And going back to, the whole Reconquest idea, when de Vargas came, that first meeting was at least kind of calm. It was when he came back with the settlers the year later in 1693 that things kind of devolved, and and here we are, and I think that century ends really interestingly with the Spanish and the Pueblo both fighting against Cuerno Verde in a battle that united them. So,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we just have a complicated history.
Very complicated. I mean, like any and all places, there's always going to be that hard part of history that some people want to avoid that topic. But it's better to be realistic and understand both sides. I'm a very half glasses full type of individual. When we've had conversations, where we've had conversations with the Native American community, my goal is to always include everyone that it involves, rather than one person or one group. I think that we all need to come together and always have these conversations with one another, because then we understand both sides. We can see the perspective from one group, and then they can see the perspective from our end, and then we come to a common ground, rather than just having these maybe misinterpreted feelings or thoughts without having an actual conversation.
That's true. And I always say maybe New Mexico is a place that's big enough to celebrate August 10th, or at least commemorate it, which is the day of the Pueblo Revolt starting. And it's also a place where people can be glad that their ancestors survived in this harsh land. That's how I look at Fiesta, is looking at ancestors who lived in exile and then were able to forge a life.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of other places, unfortunately, in the United States where large Pueblo groups were eradicated, because of the way that they handled it out there. I think it's truly unique that we have the Pueblos we have the culture as strong as it is, and there's no, it's more, I don't want to say the word accepted, but it's more culturally accepted. I mean, it's part of our history, right? So everybody understands it. We have friends and family members that invite us to feast and vice versa, and they welcome us in their homes and what have you. And I think that's beautiful because we were able to coexist amongst each other and figure out a way to live peacefully, essentially. But and I do appreciate that because the culture is beautiful. There's so much history between the two. And we also, I mean, of course, we have Anglo, we have all other cultures within our community, and we just seem to all be able to function together and get along for the most part. And I think that's truly unique to New Mexico.
Yeah. On that note, we'll take a quick break and be back with more Conversations Different.
We make renewable doable. We're positive energy solar for a cleaner, brighter future for all. Positive energy's the right call. Feel good about your energy bill. Help save the planet too. Your trusted solar company, working hard for you. Generate positive energy. Positive energy solar.
We're back with Conversations Different, talking about Santa Fe Fiesta. Krystle, you're the president, but you've been involved for a long time. How did you end up becoming a part of the Fiesta Council, which is the group that puts on Fiesta every year?
So, well, the first thing is I was born September 9th. So I was born on Fiesta Sunday. And, when I was growing up, I would see the parades and I would, be all excited. And, my mom, being my mom, and I'm an only child, she'd be like, oh, yeah, the parades are for your birthday. And I was like, really? She gave me that, So then as I grew older, I always like to be at Fiesta. I like to participate. But then in my 20s, I was working at a local business, and I met a council member who recently passed, actually this year, Vioma Trujillo,
Oh,
who
yeah.
is one of the staples of, fiestas, of course. And so, I got to talking to her, and she would mention Our Lady. And I was like, Our Lady, and I knew the Conquistadora, but I just knew her as the Blessed Mother when I was a kid. My grandma, we would always go to the cathedral to go light candles, and my grandma would go literally from the back of the pews at the cathedral, and on her knees she'd go all the way up to the altar
Oh,
with her intentions
that's so
praying.
beautiful.
And then we go see Our Lady, and at the time, I just knew her as the Blessed Mother. So then when Vioma started explaining all that to me, I was like, oh. So then she, told me. I knew about the processions limited because, again, I was a kid, but
And go
that
back, the processions you're talking about are the ones that happen in the summer
yes,
that kind of no one's watching in a
right,
way.
right,
Okay, so
exactly.
that's really the heart of Fiesta in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. So
yeah, yeah.
talk about what those are.
So the processions are a key part of honoring the promise made to Our Lady, honoring her by procession. And so each year, either end of June, early July, they will process our Blessed Mother from the cathedral over to Rosario Chapel. They will have her at her home in Rosario for 9 days. It's a 9-day novena, and then they return her back to the cathedral. That's one of the few limited times she actually leaves the cathedral. And of course, it's prayer. It's not a parade. It's to honor her. It's to pray to her, sing to her, what have you. And so when Vioma explained that to me that summer, I went to my first procession, and that was the year that it poured. When we got to Rosario Chapel, it poured. Like, people were running to the church because we were like right there on Paseo del Peralta and Guadalupe, and everybody was running to the church. But I never forget that. But it resonated with me. So then, I went to the procession that year, and then that I learned about the pregon. I went that year to the pregon, and I was just floored with novenas and seeing all these viejitas, 6 a.m. Everybody's tired at 6 a.m. But I was like, if these little ladies can do it, I mean, I can get up and go to church that early.
Pregon is the mass that starts Fiesta. Is that right?
Yes, the pregon
Okay.
is the first because we always start fiesta. We start and end fiesta with mass.
Okay.
And so yes, that is our pregon, is the mass where we read the proclamation, and then it's identified as the official opening of fiesta.
Right.
And so I went to that, and then that year right away Vayam was like, "You want to help? You come and work the Coke booth with me." And so
She was really good at getting people to step up.
well, it was funny because she had me doing this for 2 years. And I was like, well, can I just become a member? Because I was volunteering my time. And
Yep,
she's like,
yep.
oh, yeah, yeah. So I joined the organization. I officially joined the organization in 2009.
Okay.
And then I became a member. And then in 2012, I ran for Reina. I became a princesa. And then I've just been serving as the years went on. I became a public relation chair in 2010, and then I was involved in other parts of the organization. Then I decided to run for board member. I served as a board member for I think it might have been 4 years, and then I was vice president for two, and then now president. This is my second year as president, so
Right.
that's my Fiesta work history.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So, and I think one of the things is that people in town might know the fiesta, which, the part on the plaza, you have the burning of Zozobra, which is kind of part of fiesta, but kind of not. Then you have the arts and crafts fair. Then you have the actual events of fiesta, starting with the mass, the plaza activities, and then you have lots of parades. But the processions, as you were saying, happen in the summer, and
Mhm.
people don't really necessarily know about them unless they participate or see them when they're out and about.
Right.
But the fiesta court, that's also a part of the fiesta. You have Don Diego, the person playing Don Diego, you have a La Reina, you have their courts. You guys go and visit all the other fiestas. There's like this connection in northern New
Mhm.
Mexico that
Mhm.
I think again is kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, so in the springtime is when we do the contest selection. Men and women will apply to run for the roles of Don Diego de Vargas y La Reina de la Fiesta. And we select that individual usually in late April, early May. And then we start visiting our community, our surrounding communities. We go to the Las Vegas Fiesta, Espanola, and then Taos, because it's trying to bring our fiesta to their fiesta in celebration of their events, and vice versa, to bring their community back to us. And so we want to keep that commemoration to honor their fiestas, but also that community respect and love and interest to participate and ensure that their traditions stay alive just as much as ours.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And you also visit the churches of the community. So all the Catholic churches get a
Mhm.
visit. And when you're out, talk about the Virgin Mary that goes with you, since it's not La Conquistadora proper.
Yeah, I joke. I say she's her stunt double, but
She looks
yeah, she
I
looks.
was old when I found out there were two of them. That's just something I'd never paid attention to.
Yeah, so there's the peregrina, which is the traveling conquistadora. And so when we go to our visitation parishes, they will take the peregrina, which resembles the conquistadora. I mean, you can tell she's slightly different when you look at the hands and the way she's holding, but she's the same representation. She
Yes.
represents our Blessed Mother. And so it's an opportunity for other parishes to have a visit by Our Lady. At what capacity, at whatever capacity, in order to ensure that she's being brought to her people. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, Our Lady belongs to all of us. And so it's an opportunity for people. It's beautiful to see other communities and how they react when she visits. They're enthralled. They feel the same love that we do. And
Yeah.
so it's truly a beautiful thing to witness when we take her, and just the awe. And some people get emotional. I At the beginning of this year, there was a rosary rally in Albuquerque, and they
Okay.
took her to Albuquerque, and just people were just like falling over themselves seeing her. And I just thought it was nice to see that appreciation, because it's like, see, her love resonates with so many. It's not just in Santa Fe, it's everywhere she goes.
Oh, that's true. And I think one of the things during the procession that always makes me tear up a little bit is when people, especially the older ones that are standing on the side of the road when she comes up, they start kneeling. And you
Mhm,
can see like whole parts of the sidewalk go down. And this year when you guys came back, instead of doing it in the afternoon, it was an early procession return from Rosario. It went past the Plaza Cafe, and all of the people who were eating their breakfast stood up for the whole
mhm.
procession practically. And that was really impressive because those weren't necessarily, you know, Catholic people from town. It was
Right.
just they understood that this was something worthy of respect.
Exactly. I was walking by, I was at the front of the line and I heard a woman say, "Well, it only seems fitting to stand." And so she stood up and then everyone stood up. And I was like, wow, for people not necessarily understanding maybe the culture or the reference, it was beautiful to see that they knew, like you say, they knew that this was something important to respect and they did. And I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, that is definitely, it was really moving. And I think it's complicated because the United States, of course, is separation of church and state, you know, no religion and civic matters. Yet the city council that established this fiesta was back in the day when religion was part of everyday life. So,
Mhm.
what do you tell people when they ask you, why is this sort of civic event so religious?
I mean, we first of all with Santa Fe Fiesta, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are a non-religious organization. We do have support from, of course, the Cathedral Basilica, where Our Lady is housed, the Archdiocese, who gives the permission in order for Our Lady to even come out of the church. And then, of course, we have the Caballeros de Vargas, who are the protectors of Our Lady, and we have the Confradia, who also are the ones who make sure she's dressed, they take care of her and her day-to-day needs in regards to her preparation. So there are multiple entities involved where it's not directly that we're specifically a religious organization, but based on the promise made by Don Diego de Vargas, that was the whole mission of why we exist, was based on his promise to honor her. So it does, there is that question of, well, where's that separation? And we are just the organization that makes the promise happen, but we have a lot of other organizations that help that promise to happen.
And I think you can look at it, it's a cultural event as well as a
Right.
religious event. So for people who aren't necessarily believers, it's still something that this place and this particular city has done for so many years.
Mhm, mhm. For
Yeah,
generations and generations. I mean, it's just amazing that it's been going on, and I always acknowledge our elderly, especially when we do, another piece is, of course, the visitations. We
right.
do a lot of visitations. We go to schools, and we are able to meet with a select group based on the school's requirements, public schools. However, we do go to the elderly, senior citizen homes,
Yes,
and I love going to that because those people were the ones that set the precedents that made Fiesta continue. So we can't honor what we're doing now if we don't honor our past. And they're our past. And they made us be able to live in the present and hopefully continue into the future. And so I think it's imperative that we always acknowledge the elderly individuals that established Fiesta. As you know, Mr. Lopez, Tony Lopez,
right.
recently passed away. And I mean, I literally referred to him in the New Mexican article as Mr. Fiesta because he was known as Mr. Fiesta. Everyone knew Tony Lopez,
Yeah,
and
no, that's true.
it's a great loss. It's going to be an interesting year not to have him. We're fortunate last year they named it Tony Day on September 8th. But it's those members
Yeah,
that made sure that we are still standing now.
right. Okay, on that note, we'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
This is Patrick Dorsey, publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Looking to reach a wider audience and grow your business? For 175 years, the Santa Fe New Mexican has been the trusted voice of Santa Fe, with unmatched local reach in print and online. In addition to our long-standing, independent, family-owned newspaper, we have a full-fledged marketing team with the expertise to help you succeed in the 21st century. From traditional print to precision-targeted digital advertising, we have the tools to connect you with your ideal customers. Partner with us and see the results for yourself. Advertise with the Santa Fe New Mexican and unlock your business's full potential. Visit us at santafenewmexican.com/advertising or call us at 505-995-3852. Thank you.
Hi, we're back with Conversations Different, talking to Krystle Lucero, who is Fiesta Council President. We've talked a lot about the history of Fiesta, what it means to people. What's going to happen this year? Because we're just a few weeks away.
So much. Well, the first thing is August 22nd. So we have our pre-fiesta show. Normally it's on a Saturday. This year we decided to do it on a Friday. We are going to do it in conjunction with Fred Baca's Car Club, because they do the car club around the plaza. So they will be having the classic vehicles around the plaza on top of the pre-fiesta show that will start at 5:30 p.m. Friday, August 22nd at the plaza. And we will be having the dance group Los Niños de Santa Fe. We have hoop dancers that will be performing. And then we have Santa Fe's Lumbre de Sol. Everybody knows Lumbre de Sol. And then we will also have Northern Revolution. So we're going to have music, dancing, and classic cars.
That's a perfect combination. This will probably air after that show, but I hope everybody has gone and seen it.
Right. No, that's right.
That's right. So then
leading
you keep
up
going.
Yeah, so leading up to that, following, we will have the Fiesta Fine Arts and Crafts Market, which begins August 30th through September the 1st. And that is the market on the plaza. We have many artists from United States and all around that come to the market, and they sell all their goods. So we invite people, come and find a treasure, get your Christmas shopping done early, what have you. We have some unique vendors. We have really cool vendors that sell shirts, stickers, pottery, lamps, you name it, we have it. So
definitely a lot of price points. So that's kind of nice.
And it's completely free. Also, starting that day, we have the information booth on the plaza. So if you're looking for a full schedule of events, we do have the event listing available, as well as all the bands that will be playing on the plaza the following weekend for Fiesta. Then on Saturday, August 30th, we have the Mariachi Extravaganza, which will feature Mariachi Plata. What makes this extravaganza unique is it's the 25th anniversary of Mariachi Extravaganza. So we are planning to have soloists featured, basically alumni of who has helped us with Extravaganza, sing and debut, what have you. A lot of them, it was their first big stage to perform on. And so we are going to be celebrating by having multiple soloists that have graced the stage and are returning. Some to be announced, like Antonio Reina, Andrea Michelle, Amanda Quintana Bowles, and so many more. So that'll definitely be something to look forward to.
And that's at the opera still.
It's at the Santa Fe Opera. We've been there for many, many years. We're very thankful to them and accommodating us and having us there. If you are interested in tickets, you can call the opera box office at 505-986-5900. Tickets still are on sale. So, you have opportunity. There's different price points too, because the goal and the chair of this particular event is Herman Lovato. He makes sure to ensure that all individuals with different socioeconomic backgrounds are able to afford and attend this event, because this is an event for everyone. So if you've never been to the Santa Fe Opera, this is your opportunity. They have tailgating at 5:00 and the show starts at 7:30.
Okay. And going back, the day before that will be Friday, August 29th. And is that the day of Zozobra?
That is the day of Zozobra. Okay. So of course the Santa Fe Kiwanis put on the annual burning of Zozobra, but we are also there to celebrate with them. So their website is burnzozobra.com. So again, if you want to get tickets, they start the whole process at dusk. There's usually a show that begins at 4 p.m. and then they're going to have, if you're into viral content, the Easy Band, which tends to play like norteño versions of like Take On Me by, I think
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's just really unique. Careless Whisper, norteño rendition. They're going to be truly unique, something to see. So definitely come out to the burning of Zozobra. And
I was just going to say, once upon a time, they used to crown La Reina at the burning of Zozobra. I mean, there's been some really interesting interlocks between Kiwanis and the Fiesta Council over the years.
Yeah, I've seen those photos. I think it was the live photos from 1929, and you see where obviously it's nighttime and they're
Yep.
presenting the crown to the queen. And so it's interesting how to see how time has changed and the interjectories between both organizations. You know,
Yep.
they support us, we support them, so we're definitely excited for Zozobra.
Yep. So we've got that. We Zobra on Friday, mariachi on Saturday, and then what happens after that?
So the arts and crafts will continue to be from Friday through Labor Day. So you can come anytime. The arts and crafts fair is open from 9 to 5, and we
Okay.
will be open on Labor Day Monday. Then Tuesday we have our visitations. Our royalty will go around doing the school visitations as well as senior citizen home visitations, and then any businesses that were either sponsors or that have asked us to make an appearance, we go around with the mariachis, play music, and bring fiesta
Good.
to
And everybody has to sing "Si Senor,"
Como
except
no.
no one knows the words except for "Si Senor, como no."
Yeah, yeah, except for the council members that have heard it over and over every year.
That's right. And that's the Santa Fe Fiesta song.
Yeah,
It always makes everybody smile.
like, everybody gets happy when they hear that song.
Yep.
Especially you hear the trumpet, the dun, 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 you know. Yeah, then it like clicks, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Wednesday we have our performance at the Lenzic for the mariachi matinee. And we have
Okay.
two different shows. We have a show at 10 a.m., but what that is it's primarily focused for students. So
Okay.
we notify the public schools, which usually will bring in children via bus. And they come as a field trip and they get to learn about mariachi music, the history of it. The mariachi group that we usually have perform, they're great at instruction when it comes to explaining things to the children, the history behind some of the songs. So if you have children that are homeschooled and you are interested in participating in this event, you can contact us at Santa Fe Fiesta PR at gmail.com, or you can message us on social media. We are at Santa Fe Fiesta on Facebook or Instagram. So private message us and we can make sure to get you on the list to attend that. And then at 2 p.m., of course, is the show. It's $15. It's primarily created for those who either cannot make it to the opera. Senior citizens, a lot of senior citizens like to come out to that event and participate. It's a way for them to experience mariachi extravaganza, but they may not be able to get all the way to the opera. Or if you want a double dose of mariachi, you're more than welcome to come. So,
And for people who get sleepy at 8 o'clock, they could go in
yeah,
the afternoon. So that's a great alternative.
yeah. So for those tickets, you can call 505-988-1234. And that is for the mariachi matinee, which will be a 2 p.m. show for the public. And the 10 a.m. show is for students and homeschooled students. And then Thursday, we also have, this is the third year we've done this. This started when I was vice president. We implemented a dance called the Baile de Oro. And what that
Okay.
is, it's a senior citizen dance. It's a free dance to individuals 55 plus. We work in
Oh, I could
collaboration.
go.
We work in collaboration with the Santa Fe City Santa Fe Senior Services Division as well as the counties. And so lunch will be provided for senior citizens between 11:30 to 1, and then the dance will be from 1 to 3 p.m. And it's at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center. It's completely free. And the band that's going to be playing, who donated their time to do this, is
Wow.
Legacy de Santa Fe. So we've been doing this for the last 3 years, and the attendance is increasing. But again, we wanted to honor those that have made Fiesta what it is today. So we thought, how can we do that? Is giving them a free dance. So
Oh,
that's an
that's really nice.
opportunity for the seniors to come out and celebrate Fiesta. And then
Okay.
Friday, of course, is the big day where we start with the pregon at 6 a.m. at Rosario Chapel. Followed by that, then we start having entertainment on the plaza. We have a full list of bands and the schedule of everything that's happening on the plaza at santafefiesta.org. Again, you can mail us on the socials and we can get you personal information. We also have everything posted. We have multiple bands. I mean, we have Al Hurricane Jr. will be playing at 8 p.m. on Friday night. Gonzalo's playing on Saturday night at 8 p.m., as well as the Gran Baile that will be at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center on Saturday night, and that's going to feature red wine. So tickets are available. We also have the parades on Saturday. We have this Desfile de los Niños at 9 a.m. And this is a children's parade. Next year will be 100 years of the
Wow.
children's
And I
parade.
think that's probably one of the most popular events
Oh
at
yeah,
Fiesta.
it's so funny because the goal is to have children participate in the parade, but we do get a lot of adults that are like, can I just walk my dog? And it's like, it's the children's parade, so if you have a child, great.
That's right. Well, you have to borrow. I've actually known people who borrow kids to go be a part of it.
They love that parade, and
Yep.
we love having everybody that participates in it. So
Yeah.
lineup is over at the in the cathedral parking lot,
Yep.
by the old St. Francis School. And so you can we are going to be having registration forms online this year. We're in the process of finalizing that. So once we do, there will be information out there. And by the time this airs, the form should be available on the website to be able to register for the Desfile de los Niños.
Okay.
And then, of course, Sunday, we have the solemn procession that happens in the morning. That's at 8:30. It starts at the having a brain fart for a second.
Does it start at the palace?
Yes, the Palace of the Governors.
Yep.
Correct. We will have a procession with Our Lady, with the actual Conquistadora statue. We have a small procession from the Palace of the Governors over to the cathedral. Followed by that, we'll have Mass at 9:00. And then we will have the Native American dancers that will do a prayer at Mass. And then followed by that, we have the Matachinas that do their prayer procession in the plaza. And then, of course, the music starts up again. And then the parade, the main parade, the Desfile de la Gente, that will be at 1 p.m. Again, we will have registration forms online if you want to participate.
And it'll be very long this year because it's an election year.
Yes.
So everybody take a nice soft chair to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, we have music in the afternoon following the parade. And then there's closing ceremonies at 5:15 p.m. And then at 7 p.m. we have the I'm thinking, having a moment.
Another mass, right?
Mass. Yes. And then,
Yep.
of course, there's the procession to the Cross of the Martyrs. And that's something truly unique to see because it is a candlelight procession. So
Yep.
it's very solemn, but it's beautiful to see that part of Fiesta. I mean,
And I think that's a really important point, is that it kind of gets you back to the meaning of Fiesta, which is, recovery after revolt and a return.
right.
Because those 21 people who are being memorialized at the Cross of the Martyrs were killed in the Pueblo Revolt.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's a way, again, you got to honor your past in order to be in your present and look towards your future. So we appreciate all those that are able to attend. If you want a full list of information, again, you can visit santafefiesta.org. You can add us on Facebook or like us on Instagram, and we have information constantly going out there. So you can't miss the info.
No, and the New Mexican will have all of the events and listings in
Yeah.
the newspaper around the weekend. And it's important to kind of keep track, because as much fun as it is to walk around the plaza and get a turkey drumstick or a pork chop or whatever you like to eat.
Pork chop
It's also,
tortillas.
oh, I love them. But
That's my favorite.
yes, the one with green chili on the
Yes.
big tortilla. I love
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
But it's also fun to kind of take part in some of the traditional Fiesta events that really give you a sense of this history and culture.
Yeah, why we exist, why we're here, the reason we get up and do this every year. We have over 150 volunteers. No one is paid on the council. Everything is completely volunteer. So there are some organizations that get paid. We do not. And obviously it's our history and it's our mission to make sure that this is achieved every year without anything in return, I guess you would
Right.
say, rather than the satisfaction of people attending, learning about the history and being a part of the culture.
All right. And it's for everybody, whether you're Spanish, New Mexican, Indian, Native, whatever you want to be or whatever you are, everyone is welcome. And
Oh, yeah.
it will happen again next month.
Yeah, exactly. So we look forward to seeing you on the plaza, and we hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, reach out to us.
All right. That's been another Conversations Different. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening to Conversations Different, hosted by me, Inez Russell Gomez, editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our weekly episodes would not be possible without your support. We hope you enjoy them and keep listening. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Consider signing up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our podcast is available by visiting our website, santafenewmexican.com/podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Conversations Different with Inez Russell Gomez is produced by Matt Dalside and Ernesto Cisneros, published by the Santa Fe New Mexican, a local and independent newspaper owned by Robin Martin.